On the humid night of October 11, 1973, co-workers Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker were fishing on the banks of the Pascagoula River in Mississippi. The air was heavy and still until a strange buzzing sound filled the night. Suddenly, a glowing blue light descended, and a football-shaped craft hovered just feet above the ground. 3 spooky entities emerged, floating toward them. The beings were like nothing from a movie. They were roughly 5 feet tall, with pale, wrinkled skin like an elephant's. Instead of noses or ears, they had conical protrusions resembling carrots. Their hands were crab-like claws, and they appeared to have no feet, gliding across the grass as if on a cushion of air. The men were paralyzed by a wave of pure, biological dread. Hickson claimed that 2 of the entities grabbed him, while the third took the terrified Parker. He felt numb as they floated him into the bright, clinical interior of the craft. Once inside, he was suspended in mid-air. A large mechanical eye, described as a floating orb, systematically scanned his body, moving up and down as if recording every heavy detail of his anatomy. While Hickson was being probed, Parker had fainted from shock. Hickson recalled being unable to move even his eyes, watching the carrot-eared beings move with a mechanical, jerky grace. There was no telepathic message, no grand warning, just a cold, silent observation. After 20 minutes, the men were dumped back on the riverbank, and the craft vanished into the stars. Terrified and shaking, the men initially hesitated to speak, but the spooky experience was too heavy to carry. They went to the local sheriff's office, appearing visibly traumatized. Sheriff Fred Diamond, a skeptic, decided to trap them. He left the 2 men alone in a room with a hidden tape recorder, expecting them to laugh or discuss a hoax once the authority left. The secret tape became the most chilling piece of evidence in UFO history. Instead of a confession, the recording captured 2 men in the throes of a nervous breakdown. Parker was heard praying and sobbing, while Hickson tried to calm him, whispering, I know. It was the scariest thing I ever seen." The heavy sincerity in their voices convinced the sheriff. The mystery turned physical when both men passed polygraph tests, administered by top experts. Furthermore, Hickson underwent hypnosis and recalled even darker details of the interior, describing the hum of the ship as a sound that vibrated in his marrow. The Pascagoula incident was no longer a tall tale. It was a documented case of acute psychological trauma. Skeptics searched for rational answers. They checked for swamp gas, weather balloons, or helicopter maneuvers. But no aircraft was in the area, and gas doesn't have crab claws and mechanical eyes. The spooky consistency of the men's descriptions, even decades later, made it one of the gold standard cases of abduction, alongside the Betty and Barney Hill story. In the years following, the heavy air of fame took a toll. Hickson became a reluctant celebrity, while Parker sought anonymity, haunted by the conical-eared faces in his dreams. Parker eventually claimed that during his missing time, he was shown apocalyptic visions of the future, adding a prophetic and dark layer to the encounter that he kept secret for years. In 2018, 45 years after the event, new witnesses came forward. A woman named Maria Blair claimed she had been parked across the river that same night. She reported seeing a blue, pulsating light hovering over the pier where the men were fishing. This third-party confirmation added a heavy weight of truth to a story many had tried to dismiss as a fishing yarn. The Pascagoula abduction represents the alien as the other. These weren't space brothers coming in peace. They were biological harvesters who treated humans like specimens. Crab claws and carrot ears were spooky reminders that if extraterrestrials exist, they may be truly inhuman and incomprehensible to our earthly senses. It was a cold encounter. Today, a historical marker stands in Pascagoula, commemorating the site. It is a rare government-sanctioned nod to a paranormal event. The river still flows, heavy and dark, beneath the pier. Locals say that on October 11th, the air still feels static, as if the football-shaped craft left a scented memory of its presence in the Mississippi soil that never fully faded. The mystery remains unsolved because the beings left no physical artifacts, only scars of the mind. It is a story of claws and cameras, a puzzle that proves that the spooky can find you while you are doing something as mundane as fishing for catfish. The Pascagoula, too, were the witnesses of the void, a mystery that defines the heavy reality of the 1970s UFO wave. In his later years, Charles Hickson claimed the beings returned to him in dreams, telling him they were peaceful but misunderstood. This softening of the mystery only made it more complex. Was the original terror a misunderstanding of an advanced culture? Or was the dream message a form of mental tampering to keep the witness quiet? The heaviness of the doubt remains. Calvin Parker, after decades of silence, finally wrote a book about his experience. He revealed that he had seen a female entity on the ship who seemed to be in charge. She had long silver hair and heavy eyes that made him feel exposed. This detail added a humanoid element to the crab claw story, suggesting a hierarchy of the highest strangeness within the craft. The spooky legacy of Pascagoula is its industrial setting. Unlike many UFO stories that happen in remote deserts, this happened near a shipyard in a busy town. The proximity to civilization makes the invasion feel more personal. It suggests that the other isn't just in the stars. They are right next door, watching us work and play from the shadows of the pier. One theory suggests the entities were biological robots, drones created by a distant civilization to perform tasks too dangerous or tedious for real beings. This would explain their wrinkled elephant skin and jerky motions. They were living tools, designed to scan the heavy biology of Earth and report back to a master we have yet to see. The vibration reported by Hickson is a common theme in high strangeness. Scientists suggest that extremely low-frequency ELF waves can cause hallucinations and intense fear. But if the ship was generating ELF waves, why did the mechanical eye look so solid? The mystery is a heaviness of the senses, where technology and biology blur into a spooky nightmare. The Pascagoula case is a masterpiece of Southern Gothic sci-fi. It is a tale of catfish and craft, a puzzle that will never be solved as long as the charactered visitors remain silent. The men of the pier were taken into the unknown, and although they were returned, they never truly came back. A piece of their souls remained on that football-shaped ship. As the fog rolls off the Mississippi Sound tonight, the pier stands empty, but the legend of 1973 is heavy in the salt air. It is a reminder that the world is permeable and that our sense of safety is just a thin veil. The Pascagoula abduction is the constant shadow of the South, a mystery that flies on blue light and crab claws through our collective memory. The final mystery lies in the purpose. If they were scanning us, what were they looking for? Some believe they were checking our DNA for signs of a prehistoric connection. Others think they were tagging the men like scientists tag sharks. The Pascagoula, too, were the tagged specimens of a cosmic laboratory, living the rest of their lives under a spooky microscope. The tape recording remains the heart of the mystery. To hear Parker's sobbing voice is to hear pure terror that hasn't been processed or polished for a TV interview. It is the sound of the unseen, a heavy audio artifact that proves that for those two men, the demon in the blue light was as real as the wooden pier beneath their boots. The story of Pascagoula is a reminder that the spooky doesn't need a why to be effective. It is a story of wrinkled skin and carrot ears, a puzzle that proves that our logic is useless against the high strangeness of the universe. The abduction was a flash of the fantastic in a dull world, a mystery that left a heaviness. It can still be felt in Mississippi. The final chapter is written in the eyes of the witness. Before he died, Hickson said he wasn't afraid to go to heaven because it couldn't be any stranger than what I saw in 1973. The Pascagoula abduction is the ultimate cold case of the skies. A mystery that proves that the truth is often spooky, wrinkled and gliding, just above the surface of our river. As you walk near the water tonight, listen for a hissing buzz. If the sky turns blue and the heavy air begins to vibrate, don't look for a carrot-eared face. The Pascagoula mystery is a story of the taken, a reminder that the pier is never truly empty. The witnesses of 1973 are gone, but the floating eye is still out there, scanning the dark for the next specimen.